It's a beautiful day in the home studio, a beautiful day for a home video. Won't you join me? Could you join me? I have always wanted to make a video just for you. So let's get to my desk, and I'm out of rhymes, but that's okay because it's video times. Won't you join me? No, that's it. Let's go.
Hey folks, Mr. Justin here with, well, officially just myself again. Happy to recycle the Mr. Rogers intro because this is another day of my forced vacation. And yeah, the crew at Secret Weapon has told me, hey, take a few days off, do things that make you happy. And as it turns out, the things that make me happy are actually spending time with you and painting rust. Not necessarily in that order. But all the same, I'm here and I'm weathering, and I've weathered a frame, and I've got, you know what, let me just bring you down to the split again. Here we go. Here's our split frame. So I have the piece that I weathered in my last video. We'll get that in focus. There we go. Looking pretty alright, if I say so myself. I might be biased. And I weathered the frame by torching the top and then sanding it. And now we've sprayed black on the rest. And interesting, some of it still has a bit of a shine. We'll give that a bit of a sand and get that more neutral. But I wanted the sides to be flat. The same as the interior here. So we'll keep that burnt look here, and I'm still not sure if I'll orient it one way or another. And hey, Miniature Mayhem is commenting. Yay, more Secret Weapon live streams. Whoa, Miniature Mayhem, thank you. Man, that's all right. Woo! There's famous people watching. I like it. But all right. So this is what I did last time. And again, I'm not sure how I'm going to orient the frame and all of that, but there is a chance, just a slim little chance, just this teeniest, tiniest little chance, that I subconsciously painted this whole thing to match the frame. And I know, you're looking at it now and you're saying, well, Justin, I'm looking at the frame and I'm looking at the piece, and those things are totally, yeah, Justin, that's totally what you did. So I feel pretty good with how well I managed to get this to fit the color and texture of the frame and all of that. But that said, it needs a lot more. So I'm going to ditch the frame. I'm actually going to take the frame. Oh, good. That could have gone more horribly. I'm glad it didn't. But I'm going to get the colors back here. So I'm getting my 6 pots. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm coming back with my 6 rust colors, of course, my Secret Weapon rust sextet. So rust, shadow, old rust, brown rust, red rust, orange rust, and yellow rust. I don't need to read the labels to tell you what they are, because this is, in fact, the set that I would use to paint rust. As always, yeah, these are designed after what I would actually do. Now, I have a few other paints out here today. I have Engine Rust, which is one of our washes. Kind of, sort of. It has a translucent base. Weathered Wood, which is my nice off-white. And I also have Fresh Oil. This should be Old Oil, Dark Iron, and Bolt Gun Metal. I mean, engine bolt gun engine Anyway, engine metal. That's definitely what I meant. It's engine metal because it says so right there on the label. But I'm just saying. So, all right. Coming back at this piece. Oh, I've seen a couple of comments come in, but they're not showing up on the multi-stream thingamajigger. And make sure that I have the alert box is turned on. Oh. Hey! Noel has liked the stream. Cheers, cheers, cheers! Well, those aren't messages that I want right now. Those are work messages. I'm not supposed to be working. So anyway, hey, Noel, cheers. By the way, you asked for worn leather on the other project, and I want you to know that this panel right here is taped off so that I can do worn leather. All right. But today I'm just doing crazy stuff. Cody, thank you, Cody, for liking the stream. All right, so let's see here. I am going to start. Oh my gosh, Kevin Clark has liked the stream. Cool, Kevin Clark. That's especially great because you're the one from work that was just messaging me with work stuff after telling me that I shouldn't do work. So everyone, please mock Kevin. He deserves to be mocked. I love him. He's one of my favorite people in the whole world. But yeah, like literally, I'm doing a live video, and because Kevin's like, whatever you do today, don't do work. By the way, here's some work. Some people's kids. But all right, let's get some. Ooh, that looks like the brown. Oh, it's red. Okay, okay, okay. Ah, that's the brown. All right. Oh yeah, that is definitely the brown. Teach me not to look at the clock. No, Kevin, we're good, and I hope everyone else knows out there. Everyone else out there knows that Kevin and I are good. He's good people. He does a great job with Secret Weapon, just like the rest of the team. But Kevin is the only one who will, from time to time, tell me to take a day off. Alright, so I've got my 6 paints. And these are, again, the Secret Weapon Rust Sextet. So it's Rust Shadow, Old Rust, Brown Rust, Red Rust, Orange Rust, Yellow Rust. And again, this is really the color combination that I would use to paint any range of rust. I don't necessarily use all 6 colors every time, but I use these colors to make rust. It's one of my chief complaints about companies that also make paint, is particularly for specific applications like weathering, is that I know that those folks will not use their paint to create their effect because they don't like it. And yeah, I'm not going to be that guy. I like my paint. I worked very hard with Ann Forster of Reaper Miniatures to develop these because these are meant to perform in specific ways, which is why we have so many different base formulations and different color combinations. Yeah, so like the yellow rust is in a translucent base because yellow rust should be translucent. So I'm just saying. Oh, Tim Martin, you love our acrylics. Thank you, Tim. I do too, but I'm highly biased. There's a chance. All right, let's see. Let me get into the properties here. Let's go camera control. Let's zoom. Woo. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. This whole scene is really screwed up, and you wonder about Gene Wilder's motivation. All right, let's see. Turn off autofocus. There we go. That looks pretty good. And again, well, that's right. I tossed it way over here. But one second. I'm not exactly saying that I subconsciously matched the piece to the frame, but um, um, man, they sure do match pretty well. But all right, let's toss the frame out of here again. There we go. Boom. All right, so this time I'm coming here and I'm gonna get crazy, and we're gonna add some color to some of these panels. I don't know where I'm going. I have no plan. I have no anything. I'm gonna have some water. But all right, let's start here on these teeth. Oh, well, that's good. That's already wet. Also, I should get a towel. Oh my gosh, I'm out of paper towels. I might have to pause. This is terrible. Oh my good golly gosh. Well, okay. I'll make do with I don't know, an actual towel, I guess. I miss my socks. But anyhow, here we go. All right, let's start by making this. No, not you. I'm not sure about you. Let's start with. I like that one. I don't want to mess with that one. Man, I like all of these. That's the problem. I feel like we did a pretty good job together yesterday. But all right, doesn't matter. I need to show off some color. So let's start with Old Rust. What's that? Ross Thompson is like the stream. Whoop, whoop! Ross Thompson! Oh my gosh, Ross, it's good to see. Well, it's good to see you. You know what I mean. I'm sure that Ross is tired of hearing this, but the last actual hug I got from somebody outside of my immediate household was from Ross. We were at Gamma, and Ross came up and he gave me a big hug, and then he was immediately uncomfortable about it, not because of the hug, because, you know, we hug, that's cool, but because there was this pandemic breaking out. And he's like, oh my God, like I should have elbow bumped you or something. And I was like, no, we're good. But yeah, I still feel good that for those of you that know Ross in the community, if I get to sit back and be like, hey, my last social hug was Ross Thompson, that's pretty okay. And hey, Greg, thank you for chiming in. Thank you for joining us. But here I go. I'm just going to start. Again, I'm messing around. This is Kevin and company kind of sort of forcing me to take a holiday, even though Kevin also sent me messages about work. And I already made this look like the frame, so let me come in here and start adding some color. Coming in with, this is the Old Rust. This is my purple. And yeah, I'm going to have to pause for a minute to find one of my paint towel socks. So, ladies and gentlemen, everything. And I'm back, this time with my paint towel. So let's get back to this. Let's see, split screen. There we go. All right. Let me add a little bit of water to each of these, but not the black or the yellow. The black, the rust shadow, and the yellow rust are both in translucent bases. Uh-oh, I've got family coming. Oh, my wife brought me a different paint towel. Hey, we're good, thank you.
Okay.
You're awesome.
All right.
They'll be in and out. For those of you that haven't met the McCoy family, again, this is super casual hours, so I am coming in with my old rust. I'm going to go ahead and cover that whole section because those of you that are familiar with my weathering know that I really enjoy wicking techniques, subtractive techniques. And I heard a tingamajig. There was a ping, but I don't see a notice. So, hey, if I've missed you, please chime in again so that I can make sure to give you a shout out. So I like my wicking techniques. So I'm using my old rust to add a little extra color to this one. Checking my phone to make sure that's not relevant. Simon has liked the stream. Simon, thank you very much. Cheers. All right. So I've added a bit of the old rust. I realize the focus is a bit high, so let's get that focus. Back there. And Cody, I've never actually used you up in paints, used plenty of scenics though, and back the hell out of the Tablescapes Kickstarter a few years back. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for backing, well, anywhere I Kickstarters, but yeah, the Tablescapes tiles, man, those tables, very much a point of pride. We made a good product with your help, so thank you very much. All right, so I've used the old rust. Oh, I should probably bring all of my colors down here so you can see them. Doop, doop. In fact, I'll put them in order. All right, here we go. Doop, doop, boop, shaboop, 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 boop. There we go. There's the sextet in their little order. But all right, so I've got my piece started, and you can see where I added the old rust down here. I'm now going to get my brush wet, and I'm going to come in with some brown rust. Because, again, I like subtractive techniques. You can paint this on thick and heavy. That's all well and good. No complaints from me. But I like to treat rust like splotchy washes. Because I feel it does a good job of simulating the texture. If we're using strictly acrylic with no pigments or dry pigments or special effort, I feel that the wicking effect gives us the best results. So I'm going to create some color differential along that top edge. See how stark and kind of out of place that is, but that's cool. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. We are going to wick it away, and look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Stipple, stipple, stipple. Brush it off on my towel. Stipple, stipple, stipple. There we go. And again, you can really see the transition between the colors and everything. So let's turn our attention to this panel here. So these panels are dark, and I'm going to come back to them, and I'm actually going to make them darker later. But for the moment, let's turn our attention to some light panels. So I'm going to come in here with the orange. Ooh, that's too thick. All right, that'll do. And I'm going to hit that whole panel. Ooh, there we go. And I want a little bit of thicker paint, so I'm going to come over here where I've got some thicker paint, and I'm going to go fill in this whole area. Wiping my brush off of my towel. And then what am I going to do? Can anybody guess? Yeah, I'm sure you can all guess. I'm going to wick away some color. But not a lot, because I really want to keep that yellow. See how we're starting to get that, well, that transition right here, the gaps, we'll fill that in later. But you can see now we have some very different looking metal. And we're just getting started. We are just getting started. I can do this all day. I'm not saying I'm obsessed with rust, but that's only because other people say it on my behalf. Sean has liked the stream, dude. Thank you, Sean, very much for liking the stream. Much appreciated. Appreciate the shout out here. I love it. Alright, so I've come in here with a heavy load of the rust brown. I'm going to get some of the rust orange. I'm going to just splatter it in here. I'm going to wipe my brush. Splatter, splatter, splatter. A little bit of old rust. Splatter. Oh, too much came over here because that one's really thin. But now, we're all over the place. But now for this panel, all right, I might have gotten a little carried away, and you can still see that the paint is fairly wet because I like using thinned paint and subtractive techniques. But let's go over to this one then. And I don't know, let's do bright, fresh rust. So I'm just stippling in some of the orange. Stipple in some of the yellow. Oh, that's a bit heavy. You can see that's more yellow than I want. So I have, well, a spare towel here. You can use a tissue or your finger. In fact, a technique we haven't talked much about tonight is using sponges. So maybe I'll just pull out my sponges here in just a minute. I have no plan. I'm just painting for fun. Exploring rust because it makes me happy. I'll say there's almost always a bit of sponge on my desk, so I'm going to take that and yeah, there we go. See, they're all starting to be very different panels now. That's what I'm after. Just having a good time. I don't know. I enjoy rust and oxidization and off the top of my head, I forget which customer it was. but somebody who took one of my classes uh, happens to specialize in looking for oxidization on offshore oil rigs. And he had a book full of oxidization examples where it was like, hey, if you're on an oil rig and you see something that looks like this, get the heck out of there because you're all about to die. Maybe not quite so dramatic, but yeah. And after one of my classes, he mentioned like, hey, I have this book. Would you be interested in seeing it because of the pictures? Of course I was. And oh man, yeah. I might be a little obsessed with corrosion and oxidization and yeah. Anyhow, I'm coming back into this panel here that we just did because I liked my sponge effect, but I want it to be a bit brighter. So I brightened it up. Oop, use my finger. There we go. All right. There we go. All right, let's make. I like that panel. This panel. Let's make this panel brown red. That medium aged rust. I mean, it already looks pretty good. This panel right here, you're like, oh, Justin, don't. No, I'm gonna. Oh, well, except for that. I'm all over it. Oh my God, you can't stop me now. All right, well, I'm done. That's it. That's what that's gonna look like. No, I'm kidding, of course. Let's see. Let's do a bit of wet blending here with our rust. Get some brown in there. Wipe some sections out. Get that brown back in here. Get some old rust. Nice, lovely, vibrant purple. Let's see, we've got some yellow over there, so that means we should have some yellow right here. And some rust shadow right here. All right, so I'm gonna get my brush wet. Again, very different, but still not as red-orange as I would like it. So I'm gonna bring some more of that red in, some more of the orange. I'm still doing my wet blending. Get that rust shadow in there so we can bring the focus where we want it. There we go. I can even take some of that rust shadow and drag it over here for some little beady effects. Yeah, there we go. But that is a very different panel now. It's still a bit more monochromatic than I would like, so I'm gonna keep coming back with more color and messing with it. Oh, hang on, just checking things out, making sure I'm caught up with the comments. Sometimes Streamlabs plays nice, and sometimes, yeah, not so much. 3:30. There we go. All right. And we're back. Looks like I'm caught up. Excellent. So again, we're starting to see some different colors and textures on the panels. It's definitely starting to look like Konstantinos. Thank you for liking the stream. Much appreciated. You fellas too. But it's still a bit monochromatic for me, so I'm gonna do my best to, especially here, make these really pop out. Let's make these pop out. I really want these to pop out with the old rust, so I'm just gonna slather that beautiful purple color on them. I'm gonna dab in some of the brown. I'm gonna come over here with some of the orange and put it at the bottom. All right, so that is a big soupy mess. Again, I'm gonna take my sponge. Doop 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 doop. Which, if you didn't know, is a beat from the original Avatar: The Last Airbender that my son really likes. He just likes that little ditty from when they were in the desert. All right. So again, I'm adding more color, more transition. Am I finally on Twitch? Charles asks, am I finally on Twitch? No, Charles, I'm sorry. I'm on YouTube and Facebook. I'm sure that Streamlabs will allow me to broadcast to Twitch. And given that the staff are insisting that I get back to making videos and being happy, if I can broadcast to Twitch, I'm sure I'll be there soon. But all right. Let me get some more of my brown. I'll put it down both of these edges. I'm going to take some of my orange, put it alongside. Red down this edge. Get some of the yellow right across the top. All right. When you come for the rust, you stay for the sound effects. Well, I don't know how many of you remember Commander Mark. Man, what was it? Forbidden City on PBS. Commander Mark. Draw, practice your drawing 20 or 30 minutes every day. But yeah, he was the one who taught me, and I've definitely held it close to heart, that if you're drawing or painting or otherwise whatever, you need to make noise. Like every paint stroke is a swish, and every pen stroke is a whishoom, and yeah, Commander Mark. Forbidden City. He's on YouTube. I recommend that if you're not familiar, look it up. Dear Secret Weapon staff, crack the whip and make Justin do happy place things. Well, thank you, Greg. That's certainly the case at the moment. Also doing my best to make sure the crew has something to do. We are back in another 3-week shelter-in-place precaution. I know there are... Anyway, we're okay with that. I know there's plenty of folks out there that would have something negative to say about that, but we don't. We appreciate those precautions. Sacramento is down to fewer than 12% of ICU bed capability. So we support the precautions. We really do. That said, we're all working really hard to make sure that each of us has something to do, because for at least the next 3 weeks, we won't be in the warehouse. That's just what it is. But now, again, this is all with the acrylics. Starting to get some very different panels here. I'm going to go with this one. This one's going to be the darkest panel, I think. Here we go. I'm going to start with the brown. Not going to thin it. Just going to slather it on. Add some red. Let me see where I want the red, because I want to draw the attention towards the center. So we're going to put the red here. We'll put some rust shadow back there. Put some orange here. And here. Ooh, it's too thin. All right. That's okay. Boom. Hit it with a towel, and guess what? It's already pretty great. But I'm still gonna mess with it, because pretty great is not good enough. So what do you get? So what exactly is this orky tetanus inducing relic we are painting tonight? Anyhow, well, in that case, Cody, a few months back, I painted a Warhammer 40k orc stompa, but I did it with the belly gun from Forge World. So I wound up with an extra belly plate and an extra decorative plate. And I've decided to go ahead and put each of them into their own little frames. This one is going to turn into several tutorials. This section down here, for instance, Noelle is tuned in with us this afternoon, and they want to see worn leather. So I'm going to make this panel leather. Yeah, I've done some product sampling with the old and fresh oil, the engine grime drop, the engine rust. But yeah, for this piece, I found this piece, and I said, man, I love this piece. I just love it as an orky piece, and I want to paint it however the heck I want to paint it, just for fun. I want to weather this and make it rusty and corrosive and terrible, and not just for me. So when it was suggested that I take a few days off of work, I said, hey, I put on Facebook, should I do a live broadcast? And I immediately got pushback, being like, hey, that's work. And I'm like, nope. It's things that make me happy, like painting rust makes me happy. Being able to socialize with folks like you in the community makes me happy. So I got a pass. But the deal was no uniform. And longtime friend Jan said that I needed to do it like Mr. Rogers. So for anybody still watching, if you've missed my Mr. Rogers introduction, let me know and I'll play it again. Otherwise, I'll get back to painting. All right. So I've got some stippledy-stampledies. There we go. Look at that. It's drawing the attention this way like it should. I want a little bit more shadow down here. I want a bit more transition. I'm going to hit with my sponge again in a little rolling action. Roll, roll, roll. There we go. Now we're really starting to click there. Because of course I want to bring that, highlight towards the center of the face. This isn't a figure face, but it still matters. Like the focal point of this needs to be here, this area. Because for all that it's not a figure, it's still a face. So that's where our focus needs to be. So I'm trying to shade the edges. There we are. All right. I'm going to make a nice little wash. I want to really highlight this. So I'm just going to make a quick wash. All good. Clean that out. I'm going to add some yellow right up here. I'm going to sponge it because I'm sure you're shocked. I'm going to hit with my fingers. Now, one of my favorite long-term things that I've heard over the decades that I've been doing models are all these people that are like, oh, whatever you do, make sure you don't get your fingers on your model. Like, don't rub your finger on your model. Okay. I have no idea where this came from. And by the way, if your hands are that oily, go wash them. And then you can do whatever you want to your model. Because I use my fingers on my model all the time. Like, I'll put paint on and I'll dab it away with a finger. And that's fine. No harm in that. Yeah, if your fingers are really that dirty, wash them. Dabbity, dabbity, dabbity. I'm the dabinator. Which means different things to different people. So there we go. Starting to get a really good transition between panels. We have a lot more visual interest, a lot of difference. Whereas before, again, I think that I really had subconsciously tried to make it look like the wood frame that it was going into. But now, for the panels that I have reworked, I want to come in and add just a little bit more texture back, because I feel like I've lost some of my texture. So I'm going to come in here on this panel along this edge where I would have a transition anyway, and I'm going to put some rust shadow all along that edge and hit those bolts. But then I'm going to use my sponge. You can use your extra paint towel, that's fine. But I'm going to use my sponge, and again, I'm going to roll. Okay, better, but I might have removed a bit too much, so I'm going to come in again. And this time, with that little bit there, I will come in with my brush and I will stipple. having done a lot of teaching at Paint and Takes, the don't touch your model thing is more about getting people to understand that holding your model tightly will actively wear paint off. Yeah, okay, and that's cool. Noel, I follow that. I just mean that I've heard it like in a general sense, like you should never touch your models because your fingers have oil on them, and oil and acrylic don't mix because one's water-based and one's oil. Yeah, like I have seriously heard for years and years and years people simply saying you should never, under any circumstances, touch your model with your bare fingers. And that's the part I don't understand because I do it all the time and everything's just fine. But now I'm back, and this time I'm stippling my shadow. And I'm going to take some of it away with my fingertip, and that's going to be just fine. But again, I'm getting that nice transition here. I'm going to add a little more of that. All through here. Use my sponge. Yeah, Noel, that does sound like nonsense. Yeah, that's part of the reason that I pushed back on it, and part of the reason that I've mentioned it here is, yeah, I've always been surprised when people are like, oh, whatever you do, make sure you don't, touch your model with your bare hands when you're painting because it'll mess with your paint. And I'm like, how oily are your hands? Like, seriously, if you're sitting there munching cheesy poofs and painting at the same time, yeah, probably wash your hands before you touch your model because you're covered in cheesy poof. But no, no. I don't know anybody's hands are so oily that they need to wash them before they touch their model because otherwise the paint won't stick right. And I'm like, no, that's not why your paint's not sticking. I promise. But all right, there we go. I've got that nice transition down there. But now there's not enough interest right here. I had a little bleed over. So we're going to come back in here with some orange. Get some thick orange, not just my thin orange. There we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. And I want to make sure I'm coming right up to that edge, but not on it. There we go. Let's get some of that yellow. Ooh, that's nice and thick. Oh, that's been drying out. Good, 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 good. That's exactly what I want right now because I want a nice yellow edge right across here. There we go. I'm going to go right across to that. I'm going to come right down here. Only part way because, again, I'm defining sections. So I'm going to, this time, take my sponge and press flat. Pull off. Let's see what I get. Okay, pretty good. I'm going to pick an edge and do a little bit of rolling there. And now we have a nice highlight leading up to this nice shadow. We have this panel here, which I'll probably do something else to. I don't know what yet. But this is certainly a lot different than where I started. And I'll grab the frame that I threw away again. Where I had initially and subconsciously gotten this to match the frame, which, to be fair, it turns out it still does. But now there's a lot more definition, transition color. When I finally mount this in the frame, I'll put a bit of something under it so that it stands up at least that high, so it's standing up in the frame. But yeah, now I'm definitely feeling like it needs a lot more bright color, so I might put more orange and red on here for the next session. And of course, I'm doing these at an hour a pop just for kicks. But I still have pigments to put on this. And yeah, stand by. If you have a request, please let me know. Because, yeah, even if I'm not doing it right here, the Ask Mr. Justin show and the Workbench Wednesdays are still back in action. So the live broadcasts are just for kicks right now. Um, but yeah, anything you want to see, let me know. And yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for chiming in. As always, I appreciate it. If was your first time joining me, please remember to like, subscribe, click the bells and the whistles and all of those other things so that you can make sure that you're still up to date on whatever Secret Weapon happens to be doing. And you'll see tutorials coming up, not just from me, but from Lindsay and Nolan and Jess as members of the staff. Well, we all look for ways to get some hours working from home and, yeah, hopefully engage with our community during this current 3 week business shutdown precaution. So, yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate y'all. Cheers.